Hello, today we're going to be looking at writing an equation for parallel and perpendicular lines. Before we do that, it's just a few things I want to go over with you. Remember that parallel lines have the same slope, somewhat like railroad tracks. You know how railroad tracks run side by side and no matter how far you go, they will never move? Those could be considered a good representation of parallel lines. So parallel lines, again, have the same slope. So the lines run at equal distance apart and will never collide. Then we have perpendicular lines. When we write them, they have the opposite sign, meaning if it's plus, then it's going to change to minus. If it's minus, it's going to change to plus. And reciprocal slopes. So, for example, when we talk about perpendicular lines, these are lines that form a 90-degree angle. The only way to get that is if, say, my slope for my first line is y is equal to 3x plus 4. Let's just use that. To get my perpendicular slope, I would change my 3 to opposite sign, which is negative, and then I would just flip this over. Now, if you remember, if I wanted to make this into a fraction, I could just place it over 1. So I would just flip it over so that it becomes 1/3. So negative 1/3 would be the opposite reciprocal slope of 3 over 1. So basically what we're doing is taking a term, changing it to its opposite sign, and flipping it over to create the new slope. So when writing equations for either line, do the following. First, find the slope of the line. Then determine should the slope be parallel or perpendicular. Using the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, you're going to substitute the new slope and the point that you're given. You're going to solve for the y-intercept as we've been doing, and then you're just going to write the equation of the new line using slope from the step 1 and y-intercept from step 3. So let's go ahead and get into it. So here we have the equation of line U is y is equal to negative 1/3 x plus 1. Line V includes the point negative 1, negative 3, and is perpendicular to line J. This should be U. What is the equation of line V? That was all kinds of messed up, wasn't it? So here we go. We've got line U, and it is y is equal to negative 1/3 x plus 1. We've got line V, which is perpendicular and includes points negative 1, negative 3. So we're going to take what we have here and we're going to write our new line. So where we are right now, we've already decided it should be perpendicular. We're going to use our slope-intercept form. So I've got line V, so I'm writing the new equation for line V. Well, if this is negative 1/3, that means the opposite sign would be positive. And if I flip this over, it would be 3. So this, let's say line V, this is the new slope. So now I'm just going to take my y equals mx plus b and fill in my x and my y. So I've got negative 3 is equal to 3 times negative 1 plus b. And then I just do the math. Negative 3 is equal to 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 plus b. Well, I want to get b alone, so I'm going to eliminate negative 3 by adding 3 to both sides of the equation. And that leaves me with b is equal to 0. So now I just rewrite the new line. Y is equal to my new slope right here is 3 then I put my x, and my y-intercept is 0. So I could either write plus 0 or just leave it as y is equal to 3x. Let's move to the next one. We have the equation of line Q is y is equal to 8x plus 4. Line R is perpendicular to line Q and passes through -8, -2. What is the equation of the line R? So again, we've got line Q, and it is y is equal to 8x plus 4. Line R is perpendicular to line Q and passes through points -8, -2. So now we know that our line is perpendicular, so that was step number 1. We're going to use the slope-intercept form now. So I've got y is -2. And what's my new slope? Well, let's see. If it's perpendicular, that means that this 8 has to be changed to the opposite sign, and I have to flip it over. So this could be said as 8 over 1, right? So we're just going to flip it over, and it's going to become -1 over 8. So that's my new slope. So -1 over 8. We're substituting -8 for x. I'm just going to go ahead and put that over 1 since we're multiplying fractions, plus b. So we've got -2 is equal to, well, -1 times -8 is +8. 8 times 1 is 8, plus b. So that's -2. Well, we know that any number divided by itself is 1, plus b. And then we're going to eliminate 1 by subtracting 1 from both sides of the equation. That gives us -3 is equal to b. So our new line with our new slope becomes y is equal to -1/8x minus 3. So that is our new line. Moving on, the equation for line V can be written as y plus 8 is equal to -4x minus 4. So we're multiplying that. Remember, this is the slope. This is point slope form, right? And the number outside of the parentheses is always the slope. So line W includes the points 1, 1 and is parallel to line V. What is the equation of the line? So we have line V, y plus 8 is equal to -4 times x minus 4. What we know is that line W is parallel, meaning the slope is the same, and goes through point 1, 1. Now, even though this is given to you in point slope form, remember we were told to use slope-intercept form. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to say 1 is equal to, and since this is parallel, we do not have to change the slope. So we're going to use -4 times 1 plus b. So 1 is equal to -4 plus b. We want to eliminate -4. We do that by adding 4 to both sides of the equation. And we've got 5 is equal to b. And we would just go ahead and rewrite. Y is equal to, we keep our slope as -4, x plus 5. And that would be the answer. So you go ahead and try these 3 down here, and I'll be right back. All right, so I have written the answers that you should have for the Your Turn portion. I do want to call your attention to this middle one. I wrote it 2 ways. You could write it as y is equal to 1x plus 7, because the slope of this line, there's an imaginary 1 in front of that x as the slope, or you could just write it as y equals x plus 7. Either is correct. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to come and see me. Bye.